Welcome back to Hanratty'S Huddle with your host, Terry Hanratty, former Notre Dame All-American, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. Really good guy. And Terry, welcome back to your podcast.
Well, it's good. Great to be back, Dave, another week. And one thing we're going to find out through the course of the year, that football is never dead.
No.
There is always something going on. And I think Roger Goodell and the NFL really prolonged their season.
Yes.
Meaning, the draft is sort of dragged. When I was coming out of the draft, was the first week of January.
Yes.
And you're basically over with.
Yeah.
Now they push it back to April. And is it April or March? I forget now.
I think it's in April.
April, yeah.
Late April.
And, so everybody has time to think about it and time to make their 100th choice for the number one pick in the draft.
Yep.
And so it's interesting how the NFL has really expanded their whole season.
Well, just the draft alone, when you think about it, years ago when Pete Rozelle was the commissioner, and he doesn't get enough credit for what this league has become, but at the end of the day, they looked like they were in some back alley room in some hotel, with some tables set up, and then it grew to the ESPN production. Now, and then it was Radio City, and now it's a whole
all those cigar smoking back rooms.
Right.
But when I look back to 1968.
Yes.
When I was drafted in 69, but my last season was 68. And I've sat in my room, in my dorm at Notre Dame, and the sports information director would call me like every 5 or 6 picks, whatever it was.
Nice.
And there was no think about going to New York.
Interesting.
Teams back then used to draft players who were close around them, so they wouldn't have to pay for the expense for them to travel back and forth.
Interesting. Yeah.
Just to save a buck.
Think about that.
And how times have changed.
How times have changed. Now one player at one of these drafts wears more around their neck when they're being introduced than probably all those salaries combined, which is crazy. But to your point, I think football, I really believe this, took the lead from Major League Baseball, because Major League Baseball for years did a great job staying in the news after the World Series by dripping out over a period of weeks the different award winners. For 1 week would be the Cy Young, then it would be the Rookie of the Year, then it would be the MVP, then it would be, okay, now we're going to announce our Hall of Fame. And the NFL, like baseball, like other sports, has figured out a way to stay in the news year round, and that's very interesting.
Well, baseball forever was America's sport.
Right.
Now it's football.
Now
baseball sort of, trying to scratch and claw, probably to stay ahead of hockey. Hockey has become so.
Rob Adams and I are going to make you a hockey fan. That's our goal. We're going to get you. We're going to get you watching hockey, and I'm going to make you an Islander fan.
You got to explain to me what icing the puck is.
It's very simple, but we'll get to that another day. So let's stay on football for a second. Great pickup, as we noted, about Steeler Nation or Steeler Depot picking up the Hanratty Huddle comment about the quarterback. Last week you said that about May being big tough like Roethlisberger, and they picked up on that. That's great. And you have some more thoughts about the quarterbacks coming out?
I think so. It's really an interesting time of the year, and it's an interesting position, a position that everyone likes to talk about. And they keep saying how everyone is going to, the first 3 picks are going to be Caleb Williams from Southern Cal, going to be number 1, Drake May, number 2, supposedly, and Daniels from LSU, number 3.
Yeah.
And, that could change it a little bit. The GM that told me this was about a month ago, and he did say that May might go ahead of Jalen Williams. So it's going to be interesting to see that one, because, he is big, he is strong. I've seen him play down from North Carolina. I've seen him play a few times, and, he's the real deal. But they all are. I mean, they all had great seasons, and, Daniels won the Heisman, and Caleb Williams won the Heisman the year before.
Right.
So there are no surprises out there as far as those 3 are concerned. But if you're willing to take a real gamble, if you're a GM and secure with your team, we'll say, and you have one of those top 3 picks, you could easily trade that and get a lot of draft picks where you could develop your offensive line or your defensive line. And there's 2 guys, Michael Penix from Washington.
Right.
He's ranked, I guess, number 4, and Bo Nix, who I really like a lot.
I like Bo Nix too.
I think he is just, he's one of these kids. He's very accurate. He's big. He's strong. And all these kids, when you come out now, they're all mature because they've all been under the COVID law and they've all redshirted and they've all transferred and they've all had experience all over the league, all over the, college league. And so these kids are, they're ready to play. They're not like, back in the day when you come out when you're, 20 years old and starting in the NFL. But I think it's real. It's going to be interesting to see because I think these guys, Pennick and Nix, can be had maybe in the second or third round, I think.
Yeah.
Which is going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting. And I think to your point, and I've always said this about sports, whether it's basketball or anything, you can't teach size. Caleb Williams, 6'1", 215 pounds, obviously more elusive. But and again, one knee injury away from from that not being a factor. Drake May, 6'4", 230. That's a big kid, right? Jaden Daniels, 6'4", 210. These are
Michael Pennick. Is the problem there is you have two knee injuries, ACLs. He started out at Indiana, had the two knee injuries there, then obviously ended up in University of Washington and had a great career there. The 1 or 2 big years, but with coming off the two knee ACLs, that shakes me a bit. But then you got Bo Nix, who's another big tough kid and fast and has an arm on him, and he could be the real sleeper here.
Yeah, Penix had the two ACLs, both on the right knee. Just to continue that thought process, Bo Nix is 6'2", 218. I like him a lot as well. I think he's going to be a steal for somebody because everybody else can be focused on those top tier quarterbacks. And by the way, on this list that I'm looking at, J.J. McCarthy from Michigan is 4 above Nix and Penix. So very interesting.
Yeah, he has a speed of a running back.
Yeah,
I mean, the kid can really fly, and he can be a game breaker with his legs. And he's obviously had a great career at Michigan.
Certainly did, winning a national championship.
And I hate to give Michigan any kudos, but they deserve it on that one.
Sometimes you gotta bite the bullet and give credit where credit's due. So very good. What's on your mind next?
No, I think in this whole, you see a guy like Stephen A. Smith who really, he came out. I saw the other day where he really criticized Pennick.
From Washington?
No, what am I saying here? From the Steelers. Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett about saying the Steelers cannot start the season with Pickett at quarterback.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, why would he even put that in anybody's mind? Because the guy has no idea what he's talking about. He's never played the position, never played the game.
No.
All he does is, second guess everything. And, the Steelers, I think, are in a great position where they can really, you develop your line. We talk about this, and I talk about this, I should say, just about every week because it's the most important thing for football. So I think this has to really be ingrained in people. And you have this, you don't know if Pickett is going to be your franchise quarterback.
Right.
And Mason is right, Rudolph is right there behind him. And so I think the combination of the two, I think, is going to be quality quarterbacking for the Steelers for this coming year. And you work on the other positions. If you're right, you really hit a home run. If you're wrong, you've solidified your whole offensive line. Now you go out next year and get your, quote, franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
So I think you can work it in a way where you can find out if Pickett is the quarterback. And Mason Rudolph's going to be there too in case there's any kind of fall behind. And, just build your team and get the strength really involved in that.
Yeah, I hear you. And two thoughts on that is one, I don't know if you saw that the Jets gave Zach Wilson permission. When did that happen where a team would tell the player they can seek a trade on their own?
That's been rather recent.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, that's the last resort.
Yeah.
Meaning we haven't found any interest for you. We don't want to waste the phone, the quarter for the phone call.
Yeah.
And just go out and try to find the best. The thing is, if he finds a deal, the Jets are going to come back and no, it's not good enough.
Right. Yeah,
so he's basically doing their legwork.
Yeah.
And if they don't like the deal, they're not going to take it. So then they'll say,
I guess what it does is diffuses the old tampering charge. You're talking to our player. What they're saying is you can go if you have a friend out there, a coach or somebody that you want to talk to with the LA Rams or with the Minnesota Vikings, go ahead, see if they're interested, and we'll take it from there.
I'm happy to see Wilson if he goes to another team, to get because I think we've said before that New York's a tough town to play in.
Yeah.
And if you're the number 2 guy in the draft, the number 2 pick in the draft,
yeah,
and you're expected to come in there right away, and it just doesn't work unless you have a great team in front of you.
Yeah.
Which the Jets, I think they really had a good, solid defense. I think they had a solid team, but they needed that quarterback, and the whole thing was Rodgers coming in. He was going to learn from him.
Yeah.
But that's sort of passed by now. We did that process is over. So I think Rodgers coming back. Now they have to find out backup for him because. Who knows? He's 40 years old.
Right.
And he had 4 plays last year. He could easily have the same thing this year.
That's right.
And the Jets will be looking for a quarterback. But I think Wilson, I like him a lot. I really do.
I know you do.
And I think under the right situation, I think he could really make it.
Right. And just to touch on your other point about Stephen A. Smith, you don't have to agree with me. This is just my opinion. Guys like that, Skip Bayless and Colin Cowherd, these guys are empty suits who, like you say, have never played the game, probably don't have an athletic bone in their body, but yet they're going to sit there and they're going to make. And the reason why they want to be so controversial is because that means they're going to get more hits, more clicks, more views, and and it's all bullcrap in my opinion. You have more value in this podcast than those guys combined, but we're not going to say stupid crap just so and we're going to get some help getting this thing promoted as well. We just had a nice call, so at the end of the day, stick with us, stick with Terry, and support this podcast.
It's going to be fun. We got just keeping it going. We're babies in this stuff. We're just getting it going.
That's right. We are. We're going to grow it, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk football year round. We're going to talk other sports. We're going to get Terry into hockey. He's going to come over. He's going to watch a Stanley Cup game with me this spring, and we'll have some fun. So, and then of course we have baseball season starting. We're in spring training. You're a Pirates/Yankee fan.
Well, my Pirates, I'll tell you what. They just, that's the first team growing up. That's the first team I ever rooted for.
Well, what a
because
team
30 miles north, and I love baseball. And baseball, and as a young kid, was my favorite sport. I loved, I played baseball, and I could have played at a high level, I think. And I knew every Pirate known to man. And it was really interesting for me because did I ever tell you that a lot of the Pirates became my receivers?
You did. We talked about that on the podcast. But that's a great story. It's another one of those stories we're going to want to promote from one of the old podcasts, how you would throw passes, and I think one of the manager for the Pirates got a little mad.
No, the Dodgers.
Oh, it's a Dodgers.
Walter Alston came out there because his players were out there too catching the football, and he went out and got crazy. And it was Don Sutton, pitcher. All of a sudden he sees that ball coming at him, and he could see a broken finger and going, "Oh my God, the season's over."
I gotta say, I don't blame Walter for that.
No, not at all. But we did at the time, we didn't know any different.
Yeah, right.
Because they wanted to play my sport. Then after we threw the football around, I went to the batting cage.
Yeah.
And I got down to warning track power. I got it to the one. I didn't put any out of the park, which I did back in the day. But in that situation, I hit a couple to the warning track. Hit some good line drives too. Come on.
Well, you're an athlete.
Of course, I was in my 20s.
Well, and it's also, to me, it's concerning, being a baseball fan as well, that baseball is losing interest in the youth I think, at least, you have a lot of competition now. Soccer wants to be year round. You have lacrosse, which is a big sport by us. And at the end of the day, baseball, Americans coming out playing baseball are almost, hard to number at this point.
It really is sad because I think baseball is such a great sport, but I think they sort of put a Band-Aid on their leaking last year when they, started to put the clock on the pitcher. So that cut about 15, 20 minutes out of a game because a baseball game's long, and you make a commitment to watch a game or to go to a game. Yeah. You really, and I love to go to a game. It's 1-0 because I love the defense. I love the plays. Hold your breath on this every given play and situation.
Yep.
So
I'm with you. All right. Anything else, Mr. Hanratty?
That's it for today. We can't
Number
we can't
five?
give everything out in one show,
That's right. That's right. We're gonna. If you want more, you got to come back for more. All right.
There you go.
Come back for more of Terry Hanratty and Hanratty's Huddle. I'm Dave Torromeo signing off. Thank you for joining us.